The world is going to become even more hyper-competitive, and AI can either be a weapon or a great tool and a great equalizer, providing more opportunity and more abundance to more people worldwide.
Welcome to the Wealth Strategy Secrets of the Ultra Wealthy podcast, where we help entrepreneurs like you exponentially build wealth through passive income to live a life of freedom and prosperity. Are you tired of paying too much in taxes, gambling your future on the stock market, and want to learn about hidden strategies for making your money work for you? And now your host, Dave Wolcott, serial entrepreneur and author of the best-selling book, The Holistic Wealth Strategy.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode on Wealth Strategy Secrets of the Ultra Wealthy. If you're wondering how AI is really going to affect your life, your business, and your future, this is the episode you've been waiting for. Today, I'm joined by none other than Mike Koenigs, a serial entrepreneur, best-selling author, investor, and one of the most sought-after thought leaders at the intersection of AI, entrepreneurship, and exponential growth. Mike has spoken on the stages of Peter Diamandis, Abundance 360, collaborated with Dan Sullivan, and is behind some of the most cutting-edge work helping business owners leverage AI to scale with speed and precision. In this conversation, we cover why AI isn't just a tool, it's a first draft partner and exponential thinking assistant, how to scale your business without adding more people, the most powerful AI tools Mike is using right now, what agents are and how they're replacing entire teams in hours, how AI is revolutionizing everything from marketing and copywriting to health, travel, and wealth strategy, and how to adopt the trillionaire mindset, a way of thinking that unlocks 10x impact across every part of your life. Mike also breaks down a 4-part roadmap that every entrepreneur and executive can follow to implement AI, even if you're not technical. Whether you're a business owner, investor, side hustler, or just AI curious, this conversation will open your eyes to what's possible. And now on to the show. Mike, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you. It's so good to be here, and always great to spend time with you, Dave.
Likewise,
what do we
Mike.
got today?
Yeah, I always enjoy our time together. You are a multiplier extraordinaire, and I can tell the audience right now, just buckle up, okay? If you're driving, buckle up, double buckle, because this is going to be a good one. And we're going to bring to you something new, right? We want to talk today about AI, and whether you're an entrepreneur in the audience, running a business, you're thinking about creating a business right now, or maybe you're just a W-2 high income earner, right? Mm-hmm. AI is an amazing topic that can actually help create that freedom that we're all looking for, right? Freedom of time, right? And other things in your life, right? Outside of applications of, don't think of this as just for running your business, right? There's so many different use cases that we're going to jump into today. And, really wanted to have Mike here to help understand really the whole kind of universe as it relates to AI, right? How we can break that down into, practical steps that you can use AI, some of the latest and greatest tools that are there. And really, what I've thought and have found is so interesting about AI is as you approach it, you completely need to change your mindset. And Mike is going to talk about his trillionaire mindset, which is really that AI is just completely exponential thinking. It's not about going on to Google and typing in a search and, making some kind of linear data point, right? It's exponential thinking. So, Mike, welcome to the show.
Thanks. Great setup. This is super exciting. And how can I best serve your audience other than maybe drop a couple of big bombs on what's been happening over the past week that are really profound?
Let's do that, Mike, but let's really help the audience here, right? Because I know you are absolute master at this, but why don't we just start right at really ground zero? If you're kind of new to AI and everything, how should people really be thinking about AI, how to apply it, right? Because it really does require that mindset before you can get into all the fun.
Right. Well, I think the biggest thing that I'll pre-frame this by saying I was just doing the math a couple days ago, and I started speaking about AI the day after ChatGPT was released in November of 2022. And that was a combination of Dan Sullivan wanted to talk about it. And then that led to a speaking gig at Peter Diamandis' Abundance 360 a couple times and a bunch of other sequential events. And so I've spoken now to about 30,000 business owners, founders, students, young people alike in person. And then on a social level, I know my content's reached hundreds of thousands, millions of people. And what I tell people, the most important thing is how to think about AI. And it's the mindset first. And that the first thing is think of it as a first draft partner that you can have a conversation with. And it's gotten a lot smarter in the past two and a half years, to the extent now, like if you just used one tool. So people always ask, okay, what's the one thing I should do that'll make the biggest difference? And it's like, use ChatGPT. Think of it as the Leatherman tool of AI, because it's got lots of capabilities, lots of functions. The latest version, which is currently 4.5 with something called deep research. I'll give you a real life use case of how powerful it is and how I'm using it right now. And that is, I work with business owners and founders and help them either reinvent themselves or build a new business or a brand. And if you're in the financial services business or wealth management or any kind of B2B service, the smartest and best thing you can ever do is get to know as much as you can about your prospect ahead of time so you can collapse the speed of trust and decide if there's a collaboration opportunity that exists between the two of you. Right? How can I help you? And answer that question. So one of the things that you can do now is if all you did is put in someone's name, their web address, and their LinkedIn address, and instructed ChatGPT to tell me everything you can about this person and do deep research on their media, their platform, any articles they've written, any books they've written, anything about their footprint, and then also synthesize and tell me what their personality profile is. Okay? Pop in that command. And now I've built more complex prompts, but I actually produce about an 80-page report on someone. So I know everything about them. And I even ask questions. I'll say, hey, this is Mike Koenigs. I'd like to know if you come up with 10 ideas, collaborations that we could do together. And tell me what those are. I can tell ChatGPT to evaluate their website. But the whole point is, whatever you do as a service, as an offering, you can have ChatGPT look up and research someone, tell you everything about them, and then help you come up with ideas on how you can work together. And that's the way I think of the evolution. That wasn't possible even 6 months ago to any great extent. And now you come to the table and you save so much time, and you've got a researcher who's got an IQ of 150 who is available 24/7, working for somewhere between free and $200 a month. So I think it just makes you a better person, a better communicator, a better question asker, and it helps you think better as well. And that's really the way to frame and think about AI.
Yeah. Yeah, no, great way to structure that. And I'm just, kind of thinking about it in terms of my evolution around this, right? And it's just been so interesting because, again, and even watching, my kids, people in our company and things like that, I think people originally just kind of approach it in a linear fashion. So they'll throw in a quick prompt, kind of like they would with Google. And then they're saying, okay, kind of getting better results, right? But if you can really understand that mindset of what is actually possible, it's really like three-dimensional thinking and three-dimensional chess, right? To be anticipating multiple questions forward. And I like how you call it that your first draft partner. So don't just take the response, right, like you would on a search engine and say, hey, that's the data, right? This is just the first draft. Now we're going to, it's like a sculpture, right? We're going to kind of keep working on it, keep asking things and keep tweaking, till we can get to the right output.
Yes. And I think the other thing that's changed very recently is you can ask much more vague questions. And what ChatGPT does now is it actually, before it does something, it'll say, I'm going to ask you some clarifying questions. In other words, it asks from our context. So what makes AI work really well is the more information you pass it and the more detailed about what you want as an output, the better the results are going to be. It's just like real life. But in the past, it would just take what you gave it and usually spit out something that wasn't very good. Because most people aren't good at framing and context. But now it'll say, well, do you want this or do you want this? Do you want this or do you want this? It's actually answering a series of multiple choice questions. So getting back to like, what do people want to know from a mindset perspective? Here's what I've been telling everyone lately, business owners especially. The worst thing you can do is go in and tell all your people, you have to start using AI because your jobs are threatened if you don't. Well, that usually comes from a dictatorial mindset where the founder himself doesn't even know what's possible, what isn't possible, what's a reasonable ask, and what can be done. So I think it's super important that, like, when we do training and events, that the founder needs to know what's possible and just be exposed to it. And I'm talking about an hour of interactive experience and some exposure gets you, it's kind of like 80% of the way there, because the lights turn on, and then usually it comes from a little bit of workshopping, meaning let me show you a use case. So I'll give you a for example. Let's say we were going to work on a new business idea and you said, Mike, well, I'll just ask you a real life question. I'll say, Dave, right now, what would you say is the biggest business challenge that you want to overcome, that if you could solve this, it would 2x to 10x your business over the next 12 months?
Scaling.
Great. And what specifically do you want or need to scale that would make that huge difference?
Yeah, there's, impact to our clients, right?
Mm-hmm.
Customer satisfaction, for sure. And, driving, margin expansion.
Great. Yep. So the bottom line is attracting better customers who pay more, that see more value in what you're providing, right?
Yeah.
So I'll give you an example. Like, let's say we just sat down. That was what we were going to workshop. Now, there's a tool I just gave you access to that I started using. It's called Manus. It's one of my other favorite new tools, and it's an agent. This is a tool that lets you scale without adding more people. And it basically, in the past, like if you use traditional ChatGPT, you're kind of playing ping pong. You're saying, help me with this, and you get a response. And you're like, well, I need it more like this. So you give it some more responses, and it's this interactive back and forth thing that could take 10 minutes or 10 hours. It's still a lot faster than dealing with humans. Oftentimes you get a lot more work done than, I always say faster than you can delegate, you can have your result. But what Manus lets you do is we could just set up a prompt that said, hi, I'm Dave Wolcott, and here's my business, here's what I want to do. And you could feed in your business, your prompt, and any kind of information, and effectively say, my ideal customer profile is this. Or you can say, help me discover my ideal customer profile and make it up for me. Then examine my website and find 10 competitors of mine, examine them and look at their offers, and come back to me with 10 ideas that will help me scale and grow my business, attract a better client, and create more engagement with them. And this thing goes out, and in about 20 or 30 minutes, it does what normally would have taken you 3-4 MBA class professionals and researchers who know your business, and start doing this for you. All right. And it literally gives you access to a research room in several weeks, which normally what we're all constrained by, the friction in our lives, is we don't have enough time, we don't have enough money, we don't have enough capabilities, manpower, team size. And Manus effectively gives you all of those for about $200 a month. So back to the experience, what I've found works best with founders is to do something interactively, solve a problem, and say, there, where does your mind go from here? And they're like, holy cow, my life just changed. So that's the enthusiasm that you bring back to your teams, and an implementer and a co-part, or if you've got a partner, and you say, we just did this one thing and I saw what it did in an hour. So bringing that enthusiasm, that mindset, and like I said, knowing what's possible. And these days, what I direct people towards are about usually 3 to 10 tools that can give you that scalable experience. And usually it's ChatGPT because it's the good generalist Leatherman tool. Now I'm using Manus because it is a very powerful tool that can do a lot of stuff with minimal instruction. I've used it, for example, to write books. And then the other one is Notebook LM, which is a Google tool that is absolutely free, that people often say, how do I put all my stuff into one place that I can train and create courses or training or review legal documents or just give me feedback on stuff or be my one-person marketing team? So you start with 3, and you don't even have to master them. You just have to have this mindset of curiosity.
Yeah, no, that's an excellent framing. And, let's just talk about the prompt a little bit deeper, right? Let's unpack that. Because I think this is, again, where some people kind of get stuck, or they might just put in like a 1 or 2 sentence prompt, right? To just ask some kind of question and everything. So do you have some type of, logic or workflow that you work through in kind of creating your prompt? Because I've seen you write prompts and your team, and it's almost like computer code, it's plain English actually. But the way you guys, like the thought that you put into it and how you think through the structuring of what you're going to ask is really empowering.
Yeah. Well, sometimes the best way to answer the question is to do a little show and tell, right? So let's do a little show and tell. And I'll bring up a little ChatGPT action here. Okay. So I assume you can see that, right?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to, this is ChatGPT 4.5, and I'm going to turn on deep research, and I could talk to it. Let's see if the audio decides to work. My name is Dave Wolcott, and I want you to research and create a detailed ideal customer profile for me based on my website and my LinkedIn address. So I have to spell your name right. And so I'm going to open up. Did this other tab open up for you or not? Okay, good. So I'm going to bring up your LinkedIn address. And then I'm going to grab your website address, Pantheon Investments, right? Okay, copy that. And now from this, and I always put in there ICP. Now what it's going to do, and this will start a process that might take 10 or 15 minutes, but look at what happened right away. It asks some additional context. So the answer to your question is, the secret now to creating a prompt and refining it is a lot different than it used to be. And also know that I don't need to type, I talk to it. So I'll just say, okay, it asks some questions, okay? So to build you need to share a bit more context. So the product or service should be investment services, tax strategy consulting, educational programs, but also experiences and events that introduce you to extremely high quality business owners, founders, and investors. Number 2, we want to focus on accredited investors first, and also bring in family offices, but partners who want access to audiences and groups. We want to focus on a US only market, and we want to focus on both best fit clients and our aspirational clients, which are higher net worth business owners, founders, and organizations, associations, and compatible groups. Is that reasonably accurate?
Yeah, spot on.
Okay. So look at that. I did my research ahead of time. But you can see all I did is I just responded. It didn't have to be perfect, but it asked some really good contextual questions. Now, here's what's happening. It says, okay, I'll create a comprehensive ideal customer profile. It's focusing on accredited investors, and it's starting research. And what you'll find is this thing will probably go through and research 20, 30, 40, 50 different locations before it gives us the report. Now, once this is done, what I always find is it's going to find stuff that I never would have even thought of or dawned on me, and help me go back and go, oh man, I hadn't thought of that. Now I'll go back and refine it. So I think the secret is start first with any problem you currently have. And the biggest challenge that I've found most people bump into is they think too small and don't dream enough and aren't curious enough. So the characteristic that makes for the most effective AI user are curious users, because you can have an below average IQ, but if you're curious and you ask good questions and you're willing to iterate, you're going to get more out of it than a smart person who isn't curious and is rigid. So what I believe the future of AI-enabled companies are a lot of curious people who are willing to iterate. And that means the mindset is right now, and I do this all the time. Almost every week, I am building or creating a brand new business or reinventing an existing one. And what we were doing 7 years ago when we started this company was very manual, took an enormous amount of pre-work and a lot more to produce the core results inside of a week and then a month. When AI started, we got a lot smarter and a lot more efficient. But now we are producing 3 to 10 times more content products. Like we're writing an entire book. We're writing an entire TED Talk. We are building an entire website. Oftentimes we're prototyping software back to back in less than a week. Unimaginable progress with a relatively small team. And now I'm seeing more and more people do that because it's like, oh, I didn't even know what was possible.
Yeah, that is gold right there, Mike, because we have so many in the audience who have been thinking about becoming entrepreneurs, right? And escaping their existing, W-2 and trying to kind of transition into something. So there is no better time in history than to be an entrepreneur or to become an entrepreneur because of the tools that you have available to you, right? That you're talking about, that for a nominal cost, right? You can get revenue driving, immediately, right?
Yes.
So that's, that I think it's really huge. It's really exciting time that we're living in.
Yeah, it really is. So, if you want, I can show you, I can show you some other examples, but the other thing I can do is guide you through what I think the 4 stages of effective implementation in a company need to be and how you show up as a founder and a leader. So do you want to do a demo or do you want to do the process?
You can do the 4 stages. That sounds great.
Okay. All right. So here are the 4. And this is based on what I've gotten the most feedback by. I've done about 3,000 surveys now with business owner founders. And they're always asking the same basic questions, which is, how do I get started? How do I keep up with this thing? It feels like it's moving way too fast. What tools should I use that are going to at least help me get through it so I'm not in a constant state of overwhelm? And what areas of focus are going to give me the greatest scale, the greatest growth, and the most money in the least amount of time? So the first one I've already covered, which is the mindset of a founder. And that is the founder needs to know what's possible and have had some experience so they're not dictating we must use AI. And you need 2 people on your side. You need an implementer and then your co-founder or your operator. So I kind of blanket those two in. So what I've been finding is when we workshop with the three, you get the most done in the least amount of time with the least amount of resistance. Okay, so let's frame that up. And again, if you use 3 to 10 tools, you're going to get a long way there, and you'll naturally evolve in, like this will become just as normal as using email. I remember when people were using faxes to take orders, right? You know, it wasn't that long ago. And then we went to email. It's like, what happened? And then we went to the internet. This is just a new tool. The second is the sooner you create a role of the one-person marketing department. Now, does that mean you have to get rid of everyone? No. It just means that one person can do what normally took 6. They can write copy, create websites, create social media, manage a podcast or long form. They can do all the messaging, and it is exceptionally easy now to teach AI how to speak in your voice. And if you'd like, I'll do that for you. I'll give you a style guide in a couple of minutes. How's that? Okay. That's the start of it all. It's like, can I make AI write like me? And the answer is yes, and you can do it really fast. So the third stage is, how do you elevate the status, the brand authority of your organization, and ideally the founder? Because an organization that has a founder with a platform will multiply the value of everything you have. So your goal is, I need to up-level and attract higher quality clients, and AI will help you find channels. Like I've got a prompt that I put together that I'll say, I want you to go out and, based on my ideal customer profile, which we're building in the background right now, I want you to find 100 channel marketing partner organizations, stages, platforms, associations, podcasts, and YouTube channel influencers who already own relationships with my ideal client profile. Research the business owner founder's name, tell me everything about their platform, and give me 3 bullet points that I could use to introduce myself that would be valuable to them.
Hey, it's Dave Wolcott here. Let me ask you something. Are you tired of the same old financial advice that leaves you spinning your wheels? If you're ready to discover the real secrets the ultra wealthy use to build unstoppable wealth, then I've got something just for you. My new book, The Holistic Wealth Strategy, is your ticket to learning the proven strategies that the top 1% don't want you to know. This book isn't just about money. It's about building a life of purpose, freedom, and lasting impact. And I want to give you a free copy. Visit holisticwealthstrategy.com and get yours today. It's time to level up your financial game and create the future you deserve.
That's called a compound prompt. But that's what I use right now. And I'll build a library of 100 to 300 partners to go do deals with. And then you just need someone smiling and dialing or doing the outreach, which can be automated, but no one likes getting cold email. You know, it's got to be personal. So pick 3, 4, 5 a day. Send them a little postcard, send them a direct response mail, get a gift in the mail, or genuinely reach out to them. But that's a big amplifier. But anyway, you have to be prepared as an authority and an expert to create value to someone who already owns relationships, to collapse the speed of trust. So that's step 3.
Great.
Step 4 is scaling without having to add more people. And that's when using agents makes the most sense. And what I've found is a 1-hour one-on-one demo is enough to get someone activated and past stage 1 and see the possibility of stages 2 and 3. Okay, couple little demos like we're doing. The best way is about 2 days of immersion, where you're there with you as the founder, with a co-founder or your implementer, and ideally your operator, because then you've got energetic congruence and everyone's on the same page, and everything falls in place because you've actually made something together. And there's also a teaching process that I found gets the most done, which is a use case. You know, show me something who's just like me, give me the tools, show me a playbook and a a workflow, and let's do it together and then talk about what we learned. And that the lights just go on, it crystallizes, and progress is made really, really quickly.
Yeah. Can you unpack agents a little bit? I think
Yes,
there's
I
a lot
can.
of ambiguity around, what is actually possible? How do they conduct workflow? How does that work? Yeah.
Yes. So I'm going to actually show you one right now, because again, nothing beats something live. And I'm going to show you an example of something, and I don't think she's going to mind that I'm sharing this, but I'm going to show you my favorite tool right now, and I will just full on say I am tool agnostic. So at any given time, I'm working with a whole bunch of different tools, but this is a real life person. You might even know him. You know Dr. Stephen Poulter from Coach? Have you heard of him?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and you can see the screen. So this is, I was just with him this last week, and we had dinner, and then I said, hey, I'm going to actually do this for you. So I asked him to talk about his business, and he's considered one of the best in vitro docs in the country right now. He's built a pretty big platform on TikTok and Instagram, but I said, what's the biggest challenge you're dealing with? And he says, really, right now, IVF is under attack by the current administration, and it's getting more and more competitive. And I want to create a continuity-based, education-based platform. And I said, let me prototype something for you. So I fed in this prompt that says, my name is Dr. Stephen Poulter. Take all my content and information that's available online, visit my social media sites, create an ideal customer profile, and then I want you to model and synthesize and integrate all my content and create a New York Times best-selling book. Okay, so I fed it all of his links, and I also attached his 2 books. And then one other thing I did is I used ChatGPT to create his writing style guide, which is a single prompt. So from here, it started working, and you can see it's writing code, it's reading, it's doing all kinds of stuff, and it ended up analyzing his customers, okay? And by the time we were done, I'll just get to the end here. This thing wrote a book and a full book outline, all right? So when I view all the files here, here's all the content it created, and I'll just click on this. So here's the book outline. It created all the chapters, and this is based on all the stuff that it found for him, okay? Step by step by step. And I'll just click on one of the chapters. So it wrote a full book chapter, including a nice quote. It's writing in his voice, and it sounds just like him. Takes you on the journey, all the problems, all the way down to, and this is a 3,500 page chapter that it wrote. Now, so this is an agent that did what normally would have taken days of writing prompts with basically a compound prompt. Now it gets better. You want to see better?
Yeah.
Any questions so far?
Yeah, no. And for you folks in the audience, make sure to go to YouTube. Our YouTube channel is this, to make sure you watch this, because this is amazing what Mike is showing here. Okay.
So here's what I did. It came back, and it also, besides coming up with the ideal customer profile, it read into the future. And I asked it a couple other prompts on actually building out a new business for him. So I took the result of that, and I went to another tool. This is a little more technical, but I'm going to nerd out with you a little bit. It's called Lovable. And I said, I want you to build a software platform and prototype it for me based on Dr. Poulter's work. And in 30 minutes, it built this website. And here you can see it says, your personal fertility expert, available 24/7. It wrote the copy. It built a website, and it prototyped. Here you can see it built out the premium, the plans, $25 a month to learn everything about PCOS. It built out the frequently asked questions, and it actually wrote a chatbot that is semi-functional already, and I can say, help me understand PCOS, and here it comes back, and it's pre-trained with some knowledge. So I'll ask you this question, because we've been on the journey together. How much time and money would it normally take, first of all, to write a book, and then to iterate and plan out a software product, and then prototype a user interface, come up with the offer, and have something that kind of works? How much time, how much money?
It's probably $500,000.
Yep.
I mean, easily several six figures to do all that.
Yep. Right. Well, I did this with him watching me in about 2 hours. Okay. So
Wow.
what used to take somewhere between $250,000 to $500,000 in the hands of, someone navigating this. Can you do it yourself? Yeah, it's going to take you, I've spent 2.5 years getting good at using AI, but now I can usually teach someone hands-on how to do it in a couple of days. So you can do a lot of it with, yourself. And then the most important thing, like anything, is you want to get in a community of other people using these tools and be surrounded by use cases to light up your brain and show you what's possible. Because our biggest challenge we have nowadays is we've forgotten how to dream big, because we are all in a state of constant PTSD of, I don't have the time, I don't have the money, I don't have the capabilities, I don't have the team, and I don't have the resources to make my dreams come true. And we forget to dream. We lose touch with our dream state.
Yeah. Mike, that's a perfect segue. Why don't you talk about your training program? I know you have an event coming up and everything. So tell us what's included in that. What does that look like?
Sure thing. Well, the cool thing is a lot of what I've described is exactly what we're doing. So for anyone who wants to look at this while I describe it, and I'll even bring it up on screen so you can see it too. But we have a live event coming up. This one, the first one that we have planned is it's in June. And it is June 2nd and 3rd in San Diego. It's 2 days, and it's made exactly the way I described. So, it can be just you, but first of all, you can't just send your people there and say, now go learn this. It requires that a founder is present. And then there's an option where you can add an implementer or an operator or a co-partner at a discount. And what it is, it's 2 days in person, and we actually demonstrate and show you how to use and scale AI in your business. And the curriculum follows the exact process. So first of all, session 1, use case. Here's what to do. Here's someone just like you. In fact, we're picking people who register and sign up as case studies. And you'll learn the top 5 tools that'll help you get 80% of your work done faster. Do what a team of 2 to 4 usually takes days or weeks without having to add more. So it's about expanding yours and your team's superpowers. How to get the most done in the least amount of time with the fewest moving parts. Session 2, day 1, is your one-person marketing team. So, I like to say it's how to get a month's worth of content done in a few hours without the overhead, and how to empower, whether it's you or someone else on your team, even if they're not a great marketer, to be a great marketer and speak in the tone and voice. And even if you don't have the first idea on how to start, this thing will find and synthesize content so you don't have to even create it. And then day 2, session 3, is about opportunities. How to add more channel marketing partners, how to elevate your brand, your messaging, your content, you as a founder, as either the spokesperson and authority and expert, or your brand as that, so you are ready to be scaled. And then the 4th session is really how to scale without adding more people, using agents and some of these other tools that, again, allow you to have a small team without adding more people to get a lot more done in a short period of time. So if your vision is something like this, which is, man, I need to build books and content, authority building stuff, websites, prototype ideas, look for ways to create continuity income or mailbox money. The walk away is that you're going to be empowered. Everything is recorded. Everything is transcribed. And you're going to be there with other people just like you. So you learn in a group. And the training process we use is I always open up with a use case, so a real live person. Then we show you the tools. And then we give you the workflow and a playbook. Then you get to do it. And then you come back and say, here's what I learned, or here are the questions, and we do integration. And then we move on to the next one. And I have found that that is the most effective way to learn it the fastest, make it a habit, make it a mindset, and be able to walk away with a vision, with clarity and confidence and courage to keep on scaling and expanding. And of course, there's a way to continue on and work with us, because the requests I'm getting is, online learning is great, but I need to be around other people and be immersed, so this actually creates impact. So our goal is to do about 3 meetings a year in person, and they'll be in San Diego and Phoenix. There's a specific place, and you know where it is, that we'll be doing our extended experiences. So that's the plan, and it's at AIaccelerator.com/live. And I did something for you, Dave. There's a coupon to get $500 off. It's live 500. If you enter in that coupon, you get $500 off the experience. And you can have 2 of your team members watching online live as well. So the best thing for you is, of course, bring other people if it's not just you. But if you have team members and you want them to be able to watch it and experience it, we include 2 digital coupon or 2 digital tickets, so your teams can be watching live and access the recordings.
Yeah, really appreciate that, Mike. Sounds like a great approach. And, I can really attest to the fact, because I went through your training last year, which was phenomenal, and got to work with your entire team, which, I couldn't say enough about. And I like the other thing that's really unique about what you guys are doing is, like you said, just having, creating that community with people and that really aftercare support, right, as kind of questions come up, because this is really an evolving thing. And like you say, it's like, what new tools just came out literally last week, or, what's going on in the market, or maybe I need to rethink these things. So, I think this is one of the most strategic advantages, and whether you're running a business or, you're an individual investor. And I do want to point that out for folks as well, right? We've been kind of talking about the application as a business owner, as a founder. But again, the possibilities of this are really endless, right?
Yes.
Whatever you're doing today. So you want to create that side hustle business or mailbox money Mike was talking about. I mean, this is such a great way to identify some great streams of passive income you hadn't even really thought about before, from kind of a business perspective. Also, I really want to bring out like some 2 kind of fun ones I've been playing with. So one is, functional medicine, and I know you're big into health as well as I am, Mike. And so I have fed it like my last 3 years of all of my labs, my genetic reports, my Dutch tests, my GI map, like you name it. Everything I've literally gotten from the doctor. I put everything in there. And then I've told it to actually build me a meal plan. So what does my meal plan look like for the next, a couple of weeks, right? I've then had it go and create an entire grocery list organized by aisle of what I need. So for instance, like I'm low on selenium, like genetically, right? And like, who would have thought, right?
Eat more oysters, more trays.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now I'm eating Brazil nuts and other things to kind of help those deficiencies. And then I keep taking it further. Like I've had it analyze my biological age based on all the data that I'm giving it. I'm also giving it sleep scores and things from Aura to see how I can optimize or get new ideas and everything. So that one's been like a really fun bot that I've been creating. And then another one that's been super fun is, I've always had this challenge about when we go to Italy, right? if you go to a tour guide there, the tour guides over there, I walk into an Italian, tourism office, and they're like, "Oh, do you want a trip to Bali or the Maldives or going to India or going to New York?" I'm like, "No. What I want to know is this region in these small little towns. Where can I go for a cooking class or something really authentic and local that only locals would know?" So now I've completely trained a bot to be a local expert in the region, and I've been creating unforgettable experiences, a complete itinerary for our trip this summer, and then all of these things that we want to do and totally customized to us.
It's so cool. That's one of the first things I ever did is when Vivian and I went to Spain. I had it figure out, it was really a restaurant path following, God, I got to think of it, a really famous chef who's got a bunch of restaurants in Spain. And because of that, I ended up meeting a Spanish multi-billionaire who took us under his wing and said, "Oh, he's a business partner of mine. Would you like to meet him and go to all of his restaurants? I'll take you there." Wow. And it was because I was speaking. But just in the background, just to show you the results, because I don't want to have anyone go, "Oh, what about that stuff you were doing?" So remember, we started the ideal customer profile. This is what it came up for you. So I put it in a Google Doc and I shared it with you already, but it did the deep research on you, your primary clients, secondary, strategic partners. Okay. So this you already know. Ambitious and growth-oriented, entrepreneurial mindset, value, freedom, and legacy. So it really synthesized what you're looking for, what their challenges are: taxes, market volatility, conventional planning feels inadequate, and this does feel like your voice. Okay, fragmented advisor, pure isolation, so you've got groups. All right, the key motivators and buying triggers. The decision-making behaviors, communication channels. All right. But now from this, here's what's great about it. Yep. Where to go. Go Abundance, Tiger 21, family offices. But I could take this now and say, now take this and find them for me. And I'll build that for you with this other prompt I told you about. And then in the background, I also told it to continue on, and I told it to create a writing style guide about you. Okay, yeah, let's see. I'm going to do deep research. I didn't turn that on. So now what's powerful about this is now that we've got your ideal customer profile, and once we have the style guide, now I can go out and say, now find everything you can. All the potential channel marketing partners that Dave can go out to and do deep research on them. So I'm going to just say all, and it's just going to go and do its work. And then shortly we'll have about a 4-page style guide that you can use now to train and write. And it's going to really, really sound just like you. But this is how we build and stack and build this whole library. And at some point, we'd probably want to stick this and everything inside Notebook LM for even more great results. So
yeah, this is crazy, Mike. Pretty soon, we've all been looking for time freedom. Pretty soon, I won't have to do anything.
It is. Well,
it sounds kind of too true, right?
Yeah, your agent will predict your needs and your desires and say, "Hey, Dave, I know this year's goals were, we helped figure out what your goals for the year are. What do you say we get months 2, 3, and 4 done today, right now? Or I already did it for you. Do you just want to review this? Or do you trust me enough to start implementing it and, blasting it out and elevating your status, your authority, and reaching out to your top customers and platforms you should have relationships with?"
Yeah, absolutely love it. It is, I like, as you call it, the trillionaire mindset, right? Really thinking, exponentially, right? This is the kind of the chess game that we're in, and we're really playing an intellectual sport, right? So for those who can really master that and use the tools that are available, however that can, help you in your business, with your health, with your relationships in your life, right? I mean, there's just massive power here. And I still think we're even at just the beginning, right? The healthcare things and regenerative technologies that are coming out too are going to be just really mind blowing.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I will echo and plus that and say, I think there's never been a better time to be alive. In a way, I'm a little bit scared about what 1 year from now looks like, because it'll feel like it's too fast. It's just a little bit too fast enough. I'm so excited. And the best part about AI to me is it's made me a better communicator, a better thinker, a better collaborator, and I don't like working in isolation. I like to amplify other people's capabilities and their mindsets and their results. That's where I feel amplified and more connected. So, this is not a lock yourself in a room and make it all about you thing. This is all about being a more effective, a better human being. I get to make music with and for my wife. I get to plan bigger, better experiences with her, just like you were talking about having your Italian guide and your health guide. So there's all different kinds of ways to amplify capabilities that don't even exist inside you, because you have the willingness to imagine out loud and iterate.
Yeah, that's so well said, Mike. And, I really respect that about you. And, one of the things that you've done in terms of that to help create impact, I know you spoke in front of a high school, and there were how many kids did you get to speak
We
to?
had thousands of kids in a stadium. And even since that happened, so it was over 3,000 in that hall. And that was fun. And then I had the craziest thing happen just 2 weeks ago. I got a call from a friend who said, "Hey, I got the strangest opportunity. Would you like to speak at the UN?" And I'm like, "Well, hell yeah." And they said, "Okay, here's the problem. It's in 48 hours, and I need you to send your speech and your bio that's UN compatible in 4 hours." And I'm like, I'm in the middle of something right now. First of all, I had to rearrange my calendar, but from San Diego, I got on a red eye. I was in front of the UN, 1 o'clock the next day, and it took me 40 minutes to write, I think, one of the best speeches of my life, because I had AI helping me and writing a bio that I could not have put together. It would have taken me weeks to get it just right. The speech would have taken me weeks normally. And here, a brand new audience, and I got to talk about the impact of AI and female entrepreneurs gaining access to these tools in every country in the world. And there were representatives there from dozens of countries in that room. And just a couple weeks before, I spoke to a Spanish or a Japanese audience. I don't speak Japanese, but I translated what I was doing in real time for the audience, and I couldn't have done it without AI. So, this is a way to expand your reach, expand your capabilities, expand your mindset, and positively affect people all over the world.
Yeah, but really appreciate that impact that you're creating, Mike, right? It's not about just, what are you doing in front of you, right? You're creating massive impact with that. And I think that's the opportunity that we all have, right? And even with your kids, right? I'm even seeing, my kids start to use it, right? In different ways of, all these things like, Dad, should I lease a car or buy a used car, right? Or just doing analysis, right? With some basic things. Yeah. Now we can, just do some data-driven type of work and help them kind of think through things. Real estate, buying a house, they've gone through the complete analysis, right? It's just amazing, all these use cases that you can think of. But yeah, how can we make society, more productive, more useful, right? And then we can all elevate, right? As a society, I think it's really exciting times.
Yep. There's never been a better time to be alive and create more abundance than ever before, and deeper connections. Just like you're saying, is how do you elevate the relationship with your kids? And if you solve the real challenges that they're dealing with right now, which is, how do I feel more valued? How do I create more value? How do I find a way to earn and make a living so I'm not a burden on myself, on my parents, or on society? And how can I do that faster? And that really is what we've got to teach young people, especially in a time when, if it's not obvious already, we're in the world is going to become even more hyper competitive, and AI can either be a weapon or a great tool and a great equalizer, providing more opportunity and more abundance to more people worldwide. But to ignore it, you will do so at your peril. So the saying that there's a great quote about, you don't have to worry about AI taking your job, but you do have to worry about someone using AI taking your job or disrupting your business, because it is going to happen. And you're either going to be left holding sticks and stones and fax machines, or using this tool and creating an environment where the people who work for you and with you are also using it. And if you're not providing that opportunity, someone else absolutely will. And that's what you have to fear.
Yeah. Awesome, Mike. Can't thank you enough for your time and wisdom. This has been phenomenal. Definitely recommend Mike's course and your generous offer for the discount. And also, if people want to just, get engaged with you, kind of, follow you, connect, what's the best place for them? Yeah.
So if you send an email right now to vip@paidforlife.com, that'll get to me. And then in the meantime, if this motivates you, you feel excited. The other thing that we can do, Dave, and you can put this in the notes, is I'll provide a link to get my AI Accelerator book for free. And that I just popped into chat right now for you, but I'll tell you what the link is.
And guys, we're going to make sure that we'll have all of these links for you, especially if you're driving out there. We'll make sure all the links are in the show notes and everything. So
yeah, here we go. It's just aiaccelerator.com /free. There you go. I can't believe it was so easy. Yeah. But super, super simple. And then to learn more, just aiaccelerator.com /live. That's the live event. We'd love to have you, and bring your team. That's going to be where you have the most impact, and you get to live into the promises and the opportunities that we shared with you today. But thank you, Dave, for lending me your platform. I really appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you, Mike.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Wealth Strategy Secrets. If you'd like to get a free copy of the book, go to holisticwealthstrategy.com. That's holisticwealthstrategy.com. If you'd like to learn more about upcoming opportunities at Pantheon, please visit pantheoninvest.com. That's pantheoninvest.com.